Alright, so the second game here is, yeah, this thing which has no plus actions. Oh, by, yeah, there's also Bandit Fort, which, pairs very well with Horde. That's excellent, excellent synergy, as the people call it in the corporations these days. When they have these meetings, they talk about team synergies like Horde and Bandit Fort. So, well, what do you do here? What is there to do here? Nothing, right? Nothing. I couldn't figure out what to do here. I think you have to play with at least a silver and try to get a sentry, try to get thin, maybe attack your opponent with enchantress. I don't know. Maybe it might still be worth it to go for the horde, right? Provided you buy provinces. If you're buying estates, not estates, estates terrible. You might as well buy curses. And that's not even a joke. Wow, you really might as well buy curses instead of estates with horde. If you're buying duchies, it's as good as buying estates ordinarily. And okay, the opening for me and both of us is actually Enchantress and Silver. Now, there's recently been an article written about Sentry and the importance of getting to 5 to be able to buy a Sentry early, because Sentry late for trashing is trash. Not trash, it's not very good because there's no control. So I completely disregard the advice of the article and decide to go Enchantress and Silver. The Bandit Fort put me off a little bit, but it shouldn't put you off. You could trash it with Sentry. And as it turns out, the asymmetry actually gets me, right? Meaning my opponent gets to his Sentry with his identical opening and I don't. Whereas if my Enchantress there had been a silver, I would have had a Sentry just as he had a Sentry. So yeah, that's my fault, right? I should have gone for double silver, not worried too much about the Bandit Fort. Again, it's another one that I play around a little bit too gingerly, just like Wolf Den, right? All those negative ones, they scare me. They frighten me. Too much, too much. I shouldn't let them frighten me so much. Wall as well, wall. So I am finally able to pick up my Sentry, but meantime my opponent is able to trash two things, one of which is an estate. Real good for him. He's put down his Enchantress, so he looks like he's in good shape so far, right? And turns like this don't really help me, where I draw $2. Embargo is certainly an option, but it's not really something I want to pursue. Although, I mean, look, is silver that, doesn't penalize you for being in deck, so maybe it might be worth something, but I chose not to get it. It'll just be one more thing my Sentry turns up that I don't want to trash. So, my opponent has 6 now and goes for a Royal Seal, so really, that is the only treasure on the, well, no, coppers, right? And Horde. But Royal Seal, actually, is the best treasure on the board. Not because of its top decking ability, but because it's named Royal Seal and not named Silver or Gold. That's funny, that's funny. Right, so back to what I was saying before with the Horde. So maybe there is still some kind of consideration to picking up Horde and going after provinces. They would still be worth 4 points every time you buy one with Horde. Right, and potentially near the end of the game you could maybe trash a gold or two using the Sentry, of course. Maybe. I don't know if that's still worth it. So you see my opponent goes for distant lands here, right? So that's the same 4 points, but in a different way, right? There's no province and you get -2 for having the gold. It's just you stick that on your mat and you go with it. And I do think you have to go after the distant lands here. Like as soon as you're able to, is what I mean. So maybe like even this Royal Seal should have just been distant lands for my opponent. Just pile that, because you can't go for provinces and get all 8 in 8 turns, right? You will choke with this kind of deck, even though you have your little mini cartographer and Sentry there. It'll be very difficult after you buy maybe 3 provinces to get one a turn from there. Which is where the distant lands player will come in, right? They could consistently get distant lands, set aside distant lands, and after they've had 8 of those, I mean, you might have 6 provinces by then, and then you're roughly even on points, and then you still have to play around with duchies, and they just have a much cleaner deck than you, and they're not too far behind on points. So, I do think distant lands is important, and I have no objection to my opponent going for them when he did. I actually would like to get on that train, and I buy one, but I'm not able to get there consistently because these estates do not want to leave. They do not want to leave. And I do eventually succumb here and pick up another silver because I realize the economy situation on my deck. I would like to be able to buy royal seals as well. And use that. If you get 4 royal seals down, that is a province. And that is valuable. So here, I think, what is this for? This 4 is just a scheme for my opponent, I believe. Oh no, this is his second enchantress. So he actually is able to put together this idea that I had. Look at this. This is beautiful, right? This is what you want to see. 2 estates in hand, 2 silvers on top of the deck. I get rid of one of them just to give my Sentry an opportunity to trash something. Or a better opportunity to trash 2 things is what I should say. Yeah, so he's going after the deck that plays some Sentries and has an Enchantress at either end. Which is what I was kinda angling for. Kinda, at the beginning. Because it was very difficult to find what to do here. And really it seems like we'll just get to 5 and buy distant lands and then buy royal seals after that. Doesn't seem very exciting, but I think that's what you have to do. Oh well, finally able to trash an estate here, so hooray, but now I have another $2 hand, which I am going to pass on. I was hoping that my Enchantress could trip up his Sentries when he first played it, but didn't work out that way. And right now my opponent just has the better deck. He even picked up a second Sentry a little bit later. I picked up my Sentries as soon as I could, right? As soon as I had 5. Picked up 2 of them, so I had 2 for some time, and he only had 1, and then he picked up a second one, and well, look. His deck is in his hand at nearly save 1 card, but, you know, it's not a big deal because he had the option of discarding it with his Sentry, so. And he now goes for the distant land, so a little bit, you know, out of order-ish. He has the 2 enchantresses, which he can't play if he's going after the distant lands, but whatever. Doesn't matter at this point. Doesn't matter at this point. So, I actually managed to see through till the end of my deck here now, and I have quite a bit of money, 9. Could be province, but I'm gonna just pick up the distant lands and top deck it with the royal seal. All the while just trying to stick back Sentry, aiming for some trashing. So the reason to stick the distant lands back is to give my Sentry a better chance at trashing things. But you know, the estate shows up in my hand. It just doesn't want to leave, man. It's like, how many times do I have to flush before I get rid of your estate? How many times? Yeah, so this could be a real frustrating thing with Sentry. And I'm actually beginning to dislike Sentry a little bit more after my experiences with it this league. Not because, you know, it misses on trashing sometimes, but because of the difference it could create. So my opponent, okay, he got his earlier, which is fine, which is whatever, right? You're allowed to be ahead on trashing if you pick up your trasher before your opponent. But when he played his, he trashed 2 cards out of his deck. What if I play mine and trash none? Then there's such a big difference. That's a real big difference. You know, being able to trash 2 cards is on par with things like Remake and Steward. Considered strong trashers. So I mean, if you have worse luck with your Sentries, not even picking them up at the same time, right? So just disregard that issue altogether. But if you have worse luck with your Sentries in terms of trashing, then you'll probably be in a worse position than your opponent. And there's like very little you could do. Because you want to go for Sentry early, right? What cards help line up? What's at the top of your deck? Um, I don't know, maybe Sellers could help? I mean, Apothecary, of course, but I mean, you would want the Sentry, right? So you would probably be opening Silver instead of Potion for the Sentry, because you have to get this thing early. Earlier, the better. The trash is one card out of your deck. I mean, that's fine. That's normal, right? That's cool. That's like a junk dealer or an upgrade, just trashing something. NBD, they're slower, but they get the job done eventually. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this Sentry card. I I I don't know what you could really do to try to mitigate the variance with Sentry. I mean, the schemes help here, for example, right? So you're guaranteed, okay, card on top, two cards on top, and non-junk, which means if I go look in the deck, I'll find junk. But outside of that, I mean, you're not always gonna find scheme on the board, or something that'll help you. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so at this point, my opponent has what? Does he have the 4 Royal Seals by now? I think he does, or he will. And I just have less than him and less resistant land, so I'm behind in every regard. I'd thought about going for the Horde, but nah. I actually thought about Outpost as well, but there's not really much you could do here on an Outpost. Not much you could do. This estate will not go away. What is happening? Jeez, man. Cut me some slack. So I'm gonna trash the last silver out of my deck here and hopefully play without silver for the rest of the game. I did trash the second, or the other one a lot earlier, and maybe I should have kept it until I picked up a few more Royal Seals, but whatever. Whatever. I didn't do it because I figured I had enough money to get to 5 again, and I did. I just couldn't find it as quickly as my opponent. So he goes for Province here now, and I'll just wait a turn to see if he could do it again. And if he could do it, and I'm convinced that he could do it like 3 or 4 more times, then I will resign because I still have to go buy another Royal Seal here. In the meantime, he's buying Province, and he has the distant lands lead. So yeah, he is actually going to get to Province on his next turn. Sentry's doing good work for him. They're much better as cartographers. Much better. Like, very nice cartographer cards. Trashing, kinda, you know, up and down, up and down. So yeah, like I said, he is gonna be able to get the Province here, and I'm gonna resign. I don't see any way out here, and well, in the interest of time. Alright, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Let me know what you what you think of Sentry. Alright, see you.